We're excited about today, and we're here to welcome one of our own. I want to just give you a brief overview of Belmont's Welcome Home Team initiative. It was established by senior leadership 5 years ago to support the university's goal of becoming increasingly more diverse and broadly reflective of our local and global communities. Welcome Home Team is comprised of Belmont students, faculty, and staff who serve in an advisory capacity to senior leadership. Through the work of our team, Belmont strives to become a model for creating and sustaining a culture of racial and ethnic diversity, producing a welcoming environment for all on campus. Now I'd like to welcome Mr. Greg Pillen, who's a part of our Welcome Home Team, and he's going to give us a brief overview of this week, and then we'll get to the business at hand, which is introducing Dr. Hewlett.
And just quickly, those of you that have been able to join us this week, it's been a wonderful week as the Welcome Home Team's Diversity Week. It's our annual week, and we've tied it into our 125 celebration. I mean, it's going to be an annual celebration, and we've tied it into 125 this year. We were able on Monday to kind of overview the diversity efforts with the Welcome Home Team that Susan just shared on Monday. On Tuesday, yesterday, we had a wonderful discussion. I wish more of you could have been there, but those that were there yesterday from 3 to 5, a discussion on diversity, and we're going to look to actually have more discussions like that as we move forward. Obviously, you know why you're here today. Two things I want to kind of preview. Tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock in the Belmont Student Life Center, we're going to celebrate diversity. Several of our student groups will have spoken word, dance, poetry club. That will be going on from 6 to 7:30 tomorrow night, Convo students, so definitely join us for that one. And then on Friday, most of you got the opportunity to fill a tile out there in the back, and I'm hoping you can do that. If you didn't, please do one on the way out. On Friday, we're bringing in the artist, local artist, James Threlkill, who's a mosaic artist that is basically going to take all of our tiles and use that to put together a representation of Belmont in honor of our 125 celebration. We want you all to be a part of that because we're going to unveil that art project. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise. We will unveil it on 125, January 25th. So that'll be another opportunity for you to come back and celebrate with that. So definitely fill out a tile. We need several hundred of them. We've got a few hundred done. If some of you have groups that you could grab some tiles and take them back to and bring them to our event on Friday, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. Dr. Fannie Valerie, well, actually, Dr. Fannie Hewlett was the first African-American student to graduate from Belmont College. Fannie earned a bachelor's degree in psychology and English from Belmont University, a master's degree in clinical and school psychology from Fisk University, and a doctorate of education from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. Fannie married Jesse Hewlett in 1973, and I must add, he is a delight. I'm sorry you all can't meet him today, but he's a delight. She married him in 1973, and then Dr. Hewlett conducted postdoctoral studies in community college leadership at the University of Texas at Austin. She began her higher education career at Cleveland State in 1976 and went to Chattanooga State in 1979 to serve as an instructor in the behavioral sciences. She was selected as a department head for social and behavioral science in 1989 until she was promoted to dean and then to vice president for academic affairs in 2001. In 2011, she was named provost and vice president, where she served through her first retirement. She was then asked to return to campus to serve as interim president and was in that capacity until July 2015.
And I've been practicing this line all week.
Go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming home to Belmont, Dr. Fannie Hewlett.
Just my early background in terms of my personal life. I am, as has already been said, married to my husband I've kept him around for 42 years. And so when he starts telling his stories and getting on my nerves, I just kick him to the basement. And I have 2 children with 4 grandchildren and who are a delight, and that I truly love. So it's been a good life. How I've got where I am now, and so do you want me to kind of go into some broad experiences?
Well, we've got some questions.
We've got some questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had the opportunity
so they're going to question me. All right.
The opportunity to meet Dr. Hewlett back about 2 months ago, and so her life is fascinating, and we're going to begin with Greg beginning the questioning, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Well, and to give some background on that, Dr. West and I drove down to Chattanooga to meet Dr. Hewlett, and when she walked into the restaurant, I don't think any of us really knew what to expect. And every question that we asked her was just amazing, and her answers and her passion. And when we got up and left, I knew that I had just made a wonderful new friend, and I'm just so happy that you're here. But part of what we wanted to do in a little different convo setting is we're not going to try to recreate the lunch, but we want to create some of those questions for you here, and this will give you all an opportunity at the end to ask questions as well. So I want to start with, we did give that broad overview. I want to kind of start with, so they can understand what you've accomplished in your life. We gave just that quick bio.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your professional life after you left Belmont?
All right. Okay. Well, when I was at Belmont College, got to understand, I started here in 1968. Okay, so go with me. and when I came, Belmont College was a totally different venue than it is now. But the one thing that has not changed, as I said last night, is the sense of welcome that you get when you walk on campus. So here I am a little black girl from a little town in Alabama. The little town is Belmont, Alabama. Some of you may have heard of that. When I used to talk about Belmont and I would say this is where I was from, people would say, did you say Birmingham? So I had to say no, I said Belmont. So Belmont is about 30 miles from Mobile, down on the Gulf Shores, and it's really nice down there, but it was very, very, very rural. So you wonder how I got to Belmont College. Okay, so how I got to Belmont College. Shall I share how I got to Belmont College?
If you can share what you've done since you left
Okay.
Belmont. Come back to that.
All right, okay. So what I've done since I left Belmont is I got a degree in psychology and English. Found out after I got the degree that really there's not much you can do with a bachelor's degree in psychology. And from there, then I knew I had to get a master's. So I see some heads shaking. Yeah, you really need to, and the message that I've been giving to the students, that I gave to the students at Chattanooga State for a long time who would come to my office saying, I want to major in psychology, I would say, be prepared to go on at least to get your master's. So you have to at least get your master's degree to be able to break into your career, to do what you want to do. So I went back and got my master's at Fisk, and then from there my husband and I moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Well, the community college movement was just starting at that time. I had had some excellent, excellent instructors here at Belmont. And so they had given me and embedded in me that love of learning, and more than that, a love for teaching and what it really could do and what difference it could make in the lives of, in people's lives, in the lives of other people and students. So when I moved to Chattanooga, I put in applications, and I had the opportunity to get an interview at Cleveland State Community College in Cleveland, Tennessee, and I was fortunate enough to get a job there. And I started there as an instructor of psychology. Stayed there for about 2.5 years, and again, my husband and I lived in Chattanooga. We're traveling about 30 miles between the two cities, and I got the opportunity then to move to Chattanooga State and take on a position there. But just an idea of how good honesty and integrity and networking is. When I was at Cleveland State, I was really close to the person who was the vice president for academic affairs there. I loved Dr. Lane, and so when the opportunity came to move to Chattanooga State, he didn't want me to go. So at that time, he had become president. So I went to his office to try to get an opportunity to talk to him, to let him know I was going to apply for another school in Chattanooga. But he was so busy, so I never got the opportunity to see him. But Cleveland State was a lot like Belmont, really small, intimate. People knew each other, so I could walk into his office, and I walked into his office and told his administrative assistant what I wanted. But the time to apply for the position at Chattanooga State was coming to an end, so I went on and applied. And what's interesting is, at that time, the leadership at Chattanooga State was very, very much autocratic. And when I applied for the position, the very first thing that the president did there, who, by the way, hired everybody. There was no HR department. You went to the president. Very first thing that he did when he got my application, guess what he did? He picked up the phone and called the president at Cleveland State. And he said to the president at Cleveland State, "Do you know that one of your employees has applied for a position at my school?" Truly, this is the truth. At my school. And because I had made the effort to get in to see Dr. Lane and to let him know what I was going to do, Dr. Lane was able to tell him, "Yes, I am aware that Dr. Hewlett was applying for a position at your school, and she has come by my office." And he called me immediately, and I went over and sat down and had a conversation with Dr. Lane. And to this day, I believe that is one of the biggest reasons I was able to get the job at Chattanooga State. So I'm telling you this to say, be open, be honest, communicate. You know, make those relations, build those relationships, link to people. We were talking last night, I think someone in law, where is she? Yeah, there you are. You know about you build the relationships, you build those linkages, because a lot of what you will do and the way you will be able to progress as you move from Belmont into your career will be because of the relationships you have, the people that you know, and how you have carried yourself from this point on out into the world of work. So I intentionally chose to stay at Chattanooga State and to move up. And so I went from the classroom into administration. Not because I didn't like the classroom. I went into administration because the people who were there were not doing a good job. And so I've always believed, well, it was true, you know, and they might have thought they were, but I didn't think so. And I've always believed that if you don't like what is happening, and you don't commit yourself to do it, because I was asked to move into administration, then you can't complain about who is doing it and what happens when they're doing it. So I'm saying this, that you have to put yourself out there. You've got to take on the challenge, and you've got to be willing to do it. And I did it because I believed I could do a better job than they were doing. So you always don't complain about who's doing the job if you're not willing to do it yourself. So I made that commitment, and I moved into administration. Well, again, at that point, you know, there's always been this ceiling up there where you can only move so high, especially for females, and I was a black female, so I was basically a double minority here. And if I wanted to move even higher, I knew that I was going to have to prepare myself to do it. I believe that the old saying that that success is where preparation meets opportunity, and if I wanted to move up, then I had to prepare myself. So I took on the challenge of having a little baby who was several months old and going and getting a doctorate. So I went to UTK, I worked half-time, and I took care of my 2-month-old child while I did that. But I didn't necessarily want to move higher, but I knew that if the opportunity ever came for me to do that, that I would have to be prepared. And the doctor is what was going to have to get me there because, again, I was a double minority. So I got it, and I was able to move higher and higher until I was asked and I was honored to be asked to serve as the interim president at Chattanooga State until they filled the position. So that's my journey.
That's great. That's a story. Okay, now it's the good stuff.
Okay.
Dr. Hewlett, tell us about your childhood in Belmont, Alabama, and tell us about how you got to Belmont College at that time. Okay, take us up to the junior college. Greg has this so well scripted. Okay, take us up to JUCO.
Bay Minette, Alabama is a very, very rural little town, extremely rural, and we lived in the rural part of that. In fact, we had red dirt roads, okay, and we were so rural that we got our mail through a rural route box 3. Oh, somebody, I see some head shaking. I need to stand up and look at this. Rural route box 3. I'm not a, by the way, I'm not a sitter. Not a sitter, okay. Rural route box 3, okay. So I was actually educated in a segregated high school, Douglasville High School, graduated from Douglasville High School, and there were not many opportunities in Bay Minette at that time, especially for blacks. There was not much to do. There was a sawmill, and then there was teaching. So we were all trying to decide what it was that we were going to do when we graduated from Douglasville. There was a class of about 81 students. At that time, George Wallace was the governor, and everybody knows George Wallace, okay. If not, he's in your history book, I'm sure. Okay, so he was the governor, and that was the time at which the community college movement and the junior college movement was just taking off. And George Wallace actually built a junior college in Bay Minette, Alabama. It was called William Lowndes Yancey State Junior College. That was the name of it. And so having just graduated, having no money, that was, by the way, that was when gas was like 25 cents a gallon. And only one person in the class had a car, and we would all scrape together enough money to get a gallon of gas for 25 cents. So, but we were all trying to find a place to go. So we all decided, here we are, George Wallace is establishing, his junior college, and we decided we were going to go to this junior college. So we all got together and we went to this junior college. I mean, it was not like he necessarily put it there for us, but thank God for, things happen for a reason. And we believed that one of those reasons was so that we could have a place to go. So we went. It was during a time when they were still shooting ice through straws and calling your names and doing all that, but that was okay. We were in college, we didn't care. So we went to the junior college down there in Bay Minette for those 2 years. Had some really, really good teachers, and I think that's where my love of psychology was born, because I had an excellent psychology teacher down there. So I finished 2 years down there, so did all of my other classmates, and they all took off for the University of South Alabama in Mobile, in Pritchard. But I've never been one to really follow the crowds, and so I didn't know what I wanted to do. And when I'm stuck and I've done all I can do, I always turn to the Master. So I asked God, I said, God, what am I supposed to do now? What is your plan for my life? And so I waited. Because sometimes when you ask the question, you have to do what? Wait. You have to wait on him to answer it for you. So I waited. And so one day, again, remember, I lived way out in the country, red dirt roads, rural route box 3. Okay, and I had to walk a mile down the road just to get to the mailbox. So I walked out to the mailbox, and in my mailbox there was a brochure. And guess who that brochure was from? Belmont College. And I said, okay, God, this is your answer. This is what you're telling me. So I took it, I filled out all of the paperwork, sent it into Belmont, and I got accepted at Belmont College. Now, did I know what Belmont was? No. Did I know what Nashville was? Had no idea. Okay, but he told me that this is where I was supposed to be. At this time, God told me this is where I was supposed to be. So I did. I followed him. And so I filled it out. I was accepted. And of course, here I am. I'm a little black girl from Bay Minette, Alabama. We have no car. Now children are so blessed because all the parents take them, they put them in the car, they buy the refrigerator and the TV and the microwave and the computer, and they take them all with 2 truckloads, and you set up the dorm and you make sure. Here, I've got to get to Nashville. I didn't care whether I have a TV or not. I just got to figure out where Nashville is. So anyway, okay, so here I am accepted. Well, I have no money. We literally had no money. My father had died when I was 8 years old. My mother had to raise 6 children. She was a domestic. So from the time my father died when I was 6 years old, when I was 8 years old, I took care of the family. And while my mama walked across the field to the person's house who said she was cleaning, and she worked all day there for $3 a day. So that's what my mother did. So we had no car, and so I had to decide, okay, how do I do this now? So I sent into Belmont and said, I have no money. So I filled out all the forms for what was called at that time the Basic Education Opportunity Grant. It's not like now where students fill out the FAFSA and they get all of this money and they can walk away with $5,000 in their pockets. No, they gave you just what you needed to be able to survive and to pay for your stay at the institution. The rest of it you had to work for. So I did. I filled it all out. They said, come on, here's the money. I said, thank you. So now I've been accepted, okay? I've got everything paid. Now guess what the problem is? How am I going to get there? I mean, you know, how am I going to get to Belmont College? So I asked God again. I said, okay, I'm following what you're telling me to do. What do I do now? How do I get to Belmont College? Where is it? How do I get to Nashville? So all of my relatives who were in Nashville knew that I was trying to get to Belmont. And a friend of one of my relatives came through, had been on vacation in Florida, going back to Chicago. That friend called out to my house. We did have a phone. It was a party line, but we had phones. We had party lines. Okay. So they called out to the house and said, such and such a person is in town visiting just for a little while. They are going back to Chicago and they're willing to take you to Nashville. So that person came out to my house. I put my trunk, you know, the only trunk that we used to have, that's all we used to fill up. And he made space in his trunk, the trunk of his car, for my little trunk that I had, and he brought me to Nashville, Tennessee. And he said to me when I got here, he said, where is the college? He said, we're here. Where do I go from here? I said, I have absolutely no idea. I do not know where this college is. I don't know anything. So he stopped off at a field. That was before the time of the GPS and all of that stuff. Come on, we're talking 1968 here. And he stopped off at a filling station. That was when filling stations still knew something, and they could give you directions. It's true. Come on. Isn't it true? You stop off now, you might as well hang it up. They don't know how to get anywhere. So, but that was when you could stop off at a filling station and get directions. And they told him how to get to Belmont College. And that person brought me here and put me off in front of Heron Hall. We figured out that's where I lived and put me off in front of Heron Hall, and that's how I got to Belmont College. That's the story of me getting to Belmont College. So God told me it was time. This is where I was supposed to be at that time. Okay, and he knew that, and the rest is history. That's my story.
So tell us what happened once you got it.
Okay.
That's obviously the next.
Oh, yes, it is. Okay. Oh, no. Yeah.
I can't believe it, but that's great.
I did. I arrived here and went into my dorm room and decided I wanted to explore the campus. The thing that grabbed me that I loved most when I first walked on campus were the gazebos. Yeah. I just absolutely loved the gazebos. And the other thing is that everybody was friendly. Everybody was waving. And here I am, you know, again, I am this little black girl out of Belmont, Alabama, walking across campus. It was the time of the Afro, the 1960s. I had this head full of hair, and it was all up here and was blowing in the wind, and I was trying to keep it out of my eyes. And here I am on campus at Belmont College and walking across campus, this little black girl. You know, the only one on campus. I was looking for somebody that looked like me. But there was absolutely nobody that looked like me. So it was interesting, but the thing that I loved about it is that I never felt that I was unwelcome. I never felt that somehow or other I was just they were just bringing me here because they needed to that face to say to the world, hey, look at us. I never felt that I was just that, okay? I always felt that Belmont was welcoming me into the family. And and I got involved in activities. I actually joined. We didn't have sororities and fraternities. Again, obviously, it was 1968 and all that black stuff. But they had a social club here, a Zan social club. I actually joined Zan social club. My friends were all white, obviously, because most of them were white, you know, even though there were some other blacks came in during that time. I came in as a junior. I am the first black graduate of Belmont because I came in as a junior. Others graduated after me, but they all had come in as freshmen. So I was the only junior who came in at that time. And so as a result, I graduated in 1970 after being here for 2 years. But being at Belmont was just has been one of the heights of my life and of my experiences. I couldn't have asked for a better place to be. This is where I was supposed to be. And the people that I met here are the people who have helped me to become what I have become today. So for that, I'm eternally grateful.
What 3 pieces of advice would you give Dr. Hewlett to students today?
Okay.
We talked a little bit about that yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about those 3 points that you may have shared with our student who interviewed you with the vision on yesterday?
Okay. All right. I guess the first one I would say is get rid of the word can't. There's no such word as can't. If there was such a word, we wouldn't have had to put apostrophe T on it. Someone took a really, really positive word called can and turned it into something negative that's called can't. There's no such thing as can't. Someone says to you what can't be done. Your question to them should be why it cannot be done and what do I do to make it happen. Always ask, what can I do to make it happen? Because it can happen. All right? So and that's what I've always done, and that's what I've always lived by. If someone says it can't be done, mine is what do I do to make it happen? And you will find that it can happen. Persistent, be persistent and be resilient. Don't give up. Don't give up. Set your own course, okay? You are in charge of your destiny. You decide what it is you want to do and who you want to become. Don't let anybody else tell you. You decide it, and then you stay on course. Yeah, there are going to be obstacles. You may fall down, but the songwriter said we fall down, but what? We get up, okay? So always get up. And as you are doing that and on your journey, surround yourself with your faith. Surround yourself with God. Let Him be there and lead you. And then by all means, as God is leading you, get yourself out of the way. You can't give it to Him and take it back. You got to give it to Him and let Him keep it. And He'll fix it. But you've got to believe that that is going to happen. So surround yourself with your faith. Surround yourself with Him. Carry Him with you always so that when you fall down, you know that He is going to pick you up. You know, when you read footprints, you remember the footprints when it says that, you know, when you couldn't walk, when you couldn't walk, what happened? God was what? Carrying you. So surround yourself with Him because He will indeed carry you and help you to get where you're trying to go. Money is not and should never be your ultimate success module, the thing that you guide your life by. It is not the most important thing. Decide what is the most important thing for you. I was looking at television with some program my husband had on, but I was struck by something that was on, and it was about people who have become millionaires. And the one thing that was really interesting to me, there were 2 things. First of all, the program said that becoming a millionaire is intentional. You plan on that, you know, so you plan your life so that you can earn money. But the other thing that didn't seem to go along with it is be generous. Generosity. Give it away. You can't take it with you. So be generous. If you know that there is a need, then, and you feel that there's a connection between you and that need, help with that need. No matter what it is, something so simple. There was a program on television with a little child, a young child who started a program called what? Pass It On, I believe it was called. So this person, the little child did something, and then it got out there, and somebody else passed that on to somebody else, and someone pass it on. It's so easy. So every now and then, when you see somebody in need, give them something and say, pass it on. I do it. In the cafeteria line, I was standing up one day, and there was a young man who was trying to buy some food, and he was just looking through his pockets, trying his best to find the money just to pay for the food. And I took it and I said, here's $5, pay for your food, pass it on. Pass it on. But the next thing, though, is remember always, don't give away what you can't afford to lose. Okay? Don't give away what you can't afford to lose. Because when you give, you don't give with the expectation that it's going to come back. If it comes back, it's a blessing. If it doesn't come back, it's all right. Okay? It's all right. So don't give away what you can't afford to lose.
I got here's some water for you right there.
Thank you.
We're going to give you all the opportunity to ask questions. Does anybody have any questions?
First of all, thank you so much. It's been a blessing just to hear your story, your testimony, really, and, you know, to be a young African-American woman here on this campus, and just, you know what I'm saying, to hear from you is really, really amazing. And I guess I just want to know, what kind of obstacles, if any, did you face during your time? I know you mentioned the welcoming campus, which I've experienced also. I love Belmont, and I do believe that it was totally divine, you know, just coming here. It was no accident at all. He's not a God of accidents. So, but what kind of obstacles did you face? Was there any adversity or any issues that you felt you overcome?
You know, I have to say that the obstacles that I have faced never actually occurred here on this campus. That for me was tremendous, because I've always had the support, always someone was there, and I always felt that I could reach out and touch someone who was willing to help me. I guess one of the obstacles that, though Belmont College, again, remember we're talking 1976. When I came here in 1976, they actually had dorm mothers. And this may seem trivial, but you'll find it interesting. And that is that dorm mothers sat at the door. You had to sign out when you left, and you had to be in by a certain time, like 10 o'clock. Well, who's going to come in at 10 o'clock on the weekend? So fortunately, there was a person here who lived at home down Villa Place, Bethel and Huff, and we were good friends. And so we would all check ourselves out and go to her house over the weekend, because that's the only way we could get out of the dorm. So that was one of the obstacles. But that was it's how you get out the dorm, you know, because that dorm mother was tough, okay? So, but it was real interesting during that time. Again, 1968. I think that one of the greatest challenges that I faced and faced entirely during my educational career has always been, I've never had any money. And when I say be positive and keep moving and don't let anybody tell you can't, okay, that's my story of how I got educated, because I never had any money. So I came to Belmont College, and when I got accepted, the first thing I said to Belmont is, I have no money. So Belmont, I filled out everything, and I got the money. I came to Belmont. When I got ready to go to Fisk, and I saw you shaking your head, I had to say to Fisk, I have no money. You know, so I filled out the application. I got in the class of 12 students in clinical and school psych. And Fisk, I filled out all the paperwork, got the money, and got an externship, an internship, and worked at the college, okay? Then I had worked for a while before I started working on my doctorate, but I was going to UTK, you know, so I had to tell UTK what? I have no money, you know? What you think? thing, you know? So I told them, I have no money. You want me, you pay me. Yeah, you give me the money. So between Chattanooga State and UTK, I got the money. So when I tell you that you can do it, when I tell you that you put the value on yourself, you value you. And if someone else tells you that you're not valuable enough for them to give you the money, then you go find somebody else. Because there's somebody out there who will give you the money to come to school. You don't have to go into all these great debts. You got to do your part. You got to study. You got to make the grades. You got to do what you got to do. But once you do that, and you know you've done that, you've done your part. The rest of it is up to them. So don't ever take on what is not your problem. If they say no to you, that's not your problem. Guess whose problem that is? That's their problem. Because they are missing the great opportunity. And you know what that opportunity is? You. I truly believe that. So you have to value who you are. You have to know what your value is. And once you know that, the sky's the limit. You know, I had been here at Belmont College for just a short period of time. And, of course, here I am. I have no money, working at the school. And, by the way, I worked in the cafeteria. I served up whatever it was they were cooking. So anyway, but I decided, oh, it would be wonderful to have a credit card. Oh, really? Yeah. So I go downtown, catch the bus. I had no car, so I catch the bus and we ride down. I ride downtown to go in the store, and I said, I want a credit card. Well, they didn't want to give me a credit card, but I filled out the application, and so it came back, and they said on condition they were going to put all these conditions on there and all this stuff. So I went back to them. I said, look, I didn't ask for this. I don't want this thing with all these conditions. Why is this? You know, I don't have bad credit. Okay, so I had no credit at all. And I had no money, but that didn't make any difference. I didn't ask them for that. I asked them for a credit card. You tell me why I can't have the credit card I want. And guess what? I got the credit card I wanted. Because they couldn't tell me why they couldn't give it to me. Do you understand? They had to tell me why they couldn't give it to me. And they couldn't do that. So I got the credit card I wanted. So I guess that's what I'm telling you. You control. You always be in control. And if you are, then the obstacles themselves don't defeat you. You defeat the obstacles, whatever they may be. Whatever they may be, you can control it and you can defeat them.
I want to make sure we got to do a couple of things. I want to make sure we don't run out of time. We'll ask another question. But Belmont has written a history book in honor of the 125 celebration. John Carney's in the room. You can actually order this online. So I know we're looking to sell some of these, which would be wonderful. But Dr. Fannie Hewlett's obviously in this book. And you mentioned when you arrived, we happen to have that picture. The lady that wrote this book, Dr. Joy Jordan Lake, she had spent the time in research and actually enabled us to refine you. And I asked her to just fill out something for you. And we want to present this book to you. But the author actually wrote, for Dr. Fannie Hewlett, thank you for the crucial part you have played in Belmont's amazing history. All of our best, J. Jordan Lake. Joy, I said it backwards, Joy Jordan Lake. So this is for you.
This will be one of my most cherished possessions. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
I know you take good care of it.
I will.
You read it. You're the star.
I will. Can I say one other thing?
Certainly. You can say whatever you want to.
Well,
this is.
No, we're not done. Do you want to say something before I say what I need to say?
No, you go ahead and say what you want to say, and then I will. Yeah. Oh, really?
I think Greg has adopted Dr. Hewlett, or he's already just kind of poured himself on it. You're going to be my second mom. But at any rate, Dr. Hewlett, we're elated that you're here. And we certainly are inspired by your story. And so I would like to announce to this group that we are creating the Fannie Hewlett Leadership Award, intended to celebrate diversity by recognizing courage, leadership, and contribution to the creation of inclusion at Belmont University. The inaugural award will be presented in the spring of 2016, and the attributes for those who may be able to receive this award are exemplary leadership, courage and tenacity, civic engagement, scholarship and high academic achievement, and faithful servant leadership. So to you, congratulations, and we are so honored to have you back home.
Oh my goodness, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. I could not have asked for anything better at this stage in my life and my career than what has happened today. This has been absolutely marvelous. It's been a marvelous event, and just being here with all of these. Yes, Greg. I'm going to adopt Greg. He's going to become my son. And that's okay. He actually fell in love with my daughter and my son-in-law last night and my granddaughter. And so they're connected. I really connected. Same alma mater, Tennessee Technological University in Cookeville. They graduated from, live close to one another in the dorm. So he's, so I'll just have to adopt him. But it has just been wonderful. The history of Belmont is so rich, and it's continuing to evolve, and you all are becoming part of that history. So kudos to you. It is wonderful, wonderful that you are going to become part of such a rich, rich kind of a history that keeps growing, keeps growing. The president here is amazing. He is absolutely amazing in terms of what has happened into this college since I left here in 1968, and in the 15 years that he's been here, it's just, I mean, my goodness, it's just mushroom. So the opportunities that you all have to do whatever you want to do, it's just so amazing. It's just so marvelous that every time I see someone throwing one of those opportunities away, I just cringe. Because it's so rich, and there's so much for you to do, and so many ways you can go, and so much out there that people are willing to give you and to do for you, to help you get where you want to be. So keep moving. Do what you want to do. If you're in theater and you want to go to London, go to London and head to teach theater there. You can do that now. When I was coming along, all of those opportunities were not there, and we were trying to just pave the path. We were trying to pave the way for you all to be able to do, all of you, what you want to do. And we hope that the path is there, that we have done a little bit to help you all be able to move along the path that you want to move. But we want you to take advantage of that. That's what we're asking all of you to do. Because we need great leaders. We need people who are going to lead the United States into the next century, who are going to ensure that there is a good life for my grandchildren, for your grandchildren, for your great-great-grandchildren. We've got to do that. We must ensure that that is the case. The world is changing. By 2025, the majority population here in this United States won't look like most of you who are in this room today. It's going to be Hispanic. We've got to get ready for that. We've got to adjust and be prepared for what is coming. And we've got to rewrite the history books. We've got to rewrite the history books. The history books are not right. There is no such thing as Black American, white American. So what are you going to do now? Make something called Hispanic Americans and Indians Americans? No, you got to have one America. And so you got to have one history book. So I'm challenging you all out here, black, white, blue, green, I don't care who you are, rewrite the history books. Come on. It's time. It is time. America did not become America by itself. It did not become America because white men did everything. And I say men. Women weren't in there either. White women weren't in there. We've got to rewrite the history books. We've got to make the history what it ought to be. This is our adopted country for all of us. I mean, if you don't believe me, ask the American Indians. right? They're the only group that actually have American right before their name, American Indians. The rest of us don't have American blacks or American whites or American, they are American Indians. So if you don't believe it's our adopted country, ask the Indians. So if that's the case, then we need to rewrite the history books, and we need to make the history books right. So so I'm challenging you to do that. Start working on how you rewrite the history book and make it what it ought to be. Okay, and I'll be looking for that book. Okay? All right. This has been great. Thank you all so much.